And it's now time to invite our first guest speaker. Now, our guest speakers are going to paint a picture that gives you more specifics on important aspects of the project as the vision progresses. So from strategic steps all the way through to what it could actually mean for the local community. So now I'm delighted to welcome our first guest speaker, Jess Seaward, who is the Communications Director for the Thames Estuary Partnership. His interest is in improving flood risk management along the Thames and to ensure the safety of riverside communities.
So I'm really pleased to be here to talk to you a little bit about Thames Estuary Partnership and what we do. And I think it's worth noting that Tony and I know each other because we met in a collaborative workspace within a community, within a supportive community, which you're going to hear a bit more about later on, with Andrew, who's a big part of that, who leads that workspace. But it's an example very clearly of how these sorts of community networks can come together and the importance of what they can achieve within a community. So that's makes it kind of all the more special to be here to talk to you today. And we're effectively set up to preserve and maintain coastal environmental and heritage across the whole of the Thames Estuary. We have a really clear vision at the Thames Estuary Partnership, and we want to look after a thriving Thames Estuary that acts as a connector, not a divide. And I'll come back to that later because that is really important to us. And that there's a healthy environment where vibrant communities and businesses flourish together, shaping a sustainable future for the region and beyond. We take the view that we like to think about turning challenges into opportunities. We're under really unprecedented pressures at the moment, with growing populations, climate change, competing demands for resources, and by meeting these challenges head on, we giving ourselves the opportunities to find solutions and projects that can actually start to safeguard the natural environment. It opens up investment, opens up potential for sustainable growth, and also ensures the access for the health and well-being of our communities. We work in 4 main areas at Thames Estuary Partnership. So system support, where we're driving to have collaborative networks that underpin our unique ability to empower partnerships, share expertise, ideas and resources, very much like we're doing here today. Innovation, I think Tony talked about incubation. It's an incredibly important part of project work, and it really starts to unlock some of that social and economic potential. Communication for us is really important. Engaging, empowering communities to play an active role in becoming the guardians of their own positive change. And advocacy, equally, is championing the sustainable development and conservation of the estuary and its communities. So, just give you a very brief overview of some of the projects that we do. We work, again, like I said, we work all the way from Chelsea down to the estuary mouth in the North Sea. So there's plenty of opportunity for us. Estuary Edges has been a really successful project. Only around 1% of the edges of the estuary, and it's very particularly a little bit in Syon Park, which is the only original bit of the Thames side, and it's only about 350 metres, so it's a really small bit of the Thames. So we've been working to create a playbook on how to reintroduce natural habitats onto the edge of the estuary. The roadmap to climate resilience, that started off as a GIS platform dedicated to providing a strategic approach to connecting elements of the river up for fish migration. But what it's turned into is a comprehensive collection of GIS data that when you overlay it and you analyse it, you can start to make really, really good insights that will actually lead our journey to climate resilience. By overlaying really important bits of data, so it allows you to really take account for community and for the issues that are facing very, very high resolution areas. So we know about climate change, we know about rising temperatures, we know about rising sea levels, but you overlay that with social impact data, poverty data, and access to green spaces, you can start to make fundamentally much better decisions about how you are developing around the estuary. So I'm going to take you on to a really big project, and it's something we've been developing over the past year. The whole stretch of this project is from Weybridge all the way down to the sea. Thames Estuary Partnership are looking after the area from Chelsea Bridge at the moment down to Gravesend. And then we are currently in the process of trying to achieve some additional funding to take us, and most crucially for everybody here, take us from Gravesend right out to the North Sea, and actually probably around down onto the Thanet coast and up into right round the corner through Essex. So what do we mean by joint Thames strategies? So the Thames strategies are made up of 5 individual Thames strategies. They're designed to serve the needs of individual areas of the Thames, and you can see here the different colours. We've got 5 different areas, and each of those areas that serve those particular parts of the community, when you connect those up with common goals and national policy drivers, you can start to deliver a strategy that is useful across the entire stretch of the Thames. Working collaboratively allows us to share knowledge, pool resources, best practice, big wins and lessons learned. And it means that the Thames as a whole strategy can guide its communities towards meaningful but still high resolution outcomes with boots on the ground. So this is the technical bit on communications. So I'm trying to get my head around it. I think it's worth having a think about what is actually inside the strategy, because it's those strategies that inform and make up guidance to what we should be doing in order to protect ourselves and become resilient to a changing environment. A Thames strategy is effectively supplementary planning guidance, which doesn't sound particularly sexy, but it is really fundamental in how we take forward regeneration, access for communities, and effectively mitigating and creating the benefit of not being at flood risk, so that we maintain access for our communities to the river. In order to do that, you have to make landscape character assessments. That's effectively taking a view on everything that you see around you, buildings, green spaces, how the two interlink, views, how can you preserve views, what are the importance of views to the community, what are the important factors to the communities about the spaces that are there. And again, Shed 78 is a fantastic example of also looking at what are the opportunities to make improvements, and improvements in context of the future. They then include strategic guidance, and I'm so glad this bit is up on the screen now. So in the interest of time, I'll let you read through those. It covers a wide range of topics that are really important to making those guiding local authorities, particularly on how to really empower communities. And then you have the reach-specific guidance, which is the high-resolution bit. That's the bit that you really will notice as you're walking down the river, as you're walking through a park, as you're looking at a view. And, you know, we are so lucky with the Thames. When you think about the diverse communities that run across it, you know, from World Heritage sites like we have on the screen, out to operational ports like we have here and in Tilbury. So The main project aims are to update the existing strategies. There are 3 existing strategies, and they are effectively from Weybridge, they go down to Cube, to Chelsea Bridge. Then there's a gap, and that gap is the City of London, and that's a really important one. So we're going to be adding a new strategy there. Then we've got the Thames Strategy East, which takes us from the Tower all the way out to Gravesend. And then we also want to create, and very specifically, because it's in the Thames Estuary 2100 plan area, a new strategy that goes down from Gravesend right out to the North Sea and around, like I said. And then the last, so then also we work very, very closely with the Environment Agency. They have highlighted that the Joint Thames Strategy is the delivery mechanism, will be the delivery mechanism for embedding the Thames Estuary 2100 plan and the Riverside Strategy approach for local authorities. The Joint Thames Strategy is also recognised in the London Plan as the mechanism for delivering this collaborative working across the river, and also is directly mentioned in the GLA's new climate resilience plan. So it's really recognised as an absolutely fundamental piece of work across the Thames. And the last bit of it, when we've done all of these 5 individual strategies, that we start to link them together, as I said before, with common goals. So why do we need it? Then that's a really important question. And this map, it's not designed to scare people, but it is a representation of what might happen if we don't work on our flood defence, if we don't start to put some of this thinking into material guidance on how we are and how we're regenerating and how we're looking to sort of look after our riparian communities. You can see the little red dot, that's the Thames barrier. And we're facing, by the end of the century, sea level rise of around 88 centimetres. So some defences will have to go up by around 2 metres. And that in itself, as you can imagine, if you put waves up to 2 metres, you just can't see the river. Then you put that in context of what might happen, and as you can see, Sheerness, Shed 78, is right in the thick of all that. But it does go to show that if you, by doing this work now, by adding the benefit of creating spaces and flood defences that work, you actually preserve these communities. So just the benefit of being flood resilient is huge to the communities across London. I think something like 1.6. I'm not going to put a fact out there, but there's a really big number of sort of houses and communities. I should know that number. Apologies if any of my team are watching the live stream. So what are the benefits of running this project? So I've said it before, improved flood risk management, that's really, really crucial. Lots and lots of wider community benefits, most crucially not flooding, but it does go much, much further than flood management. It's about really safeguarding environmental and ecological quality, improving recreation, improving access, and allowing and maintaining economic growth. You can imagine how, by not addressing these issues, the rate of economic growth, particularly around these riparian areas, particularly in areas like Sheerness, it will become incredibly difficult to grow those communities and to actually evolve those communities in an environment where you've lost nearly all of your green space. So I'm going to gloss through this slide, but this gives you an idea of the benefits in terms of Riverside Strategy approach and what it means. Always having land available when needed for flood defence. Communities are actively involved. Riversides are accessible, and the defence is designed holistically so that we're not just pushing the problem down the estuary. We're not just that we're working collaboratively to make sure that the whole of the estuary is safeguarded, which is really, really important. So where we're at now. So in the past year, we've been building the case for actually making this project a reality. That's gone really well, because now we've been funded by the Thames Regional Flood and Coastal Committee. They have awarded us 3 years worth of funding to deliver this project, which is tight, but we feel it's achievable, and we're all committed to working with our shoulder to the wheel. And so we're now in a phase of actually starting to deliver that project. The next big cab on the rank for us is project development in Kent and Essex, which is why it's so exciting to come and speak to you, actually with my feet on the ground in the area we're really trying to work hard for. You are in the Thames Estuary 2100 plan here, so we also have the support of that team and the Environment Agency to be delivering the project here around your coastal communities. And what's really good about that is we're going to be able to deliver in a really high resolution, specific way with your local authority, with your key stakeholders, with stakeholders like Peel Ports and Duke shipyards to really deliver something that is meaningful and always adapting. So what does that really mean for here? Why is it important? And I think it's really interesting to look at, so on the left, you've got the site now that Tony's looking and the Duke shipyards are looking to develop, and the potential impact that we could have if we don't work hard to develop really robust strategies to defend and to create a resilient future for these areas. And I think it's really, really important to consider. I've heard myself say the word community about 500 times. We all know, we talk in very different arenas. The word community means so many different things. It's the business communities, it's the school communities, it's the underrepresented communities. So it's very difficult to really talk about it. I never feel particularly comfortable just saying communities as a generalization for the people that you're working for. But having the opportunity to deliver real benefits that something like Shed 78 can deliver, in terms of having something for the community to really believe in, to get behind, something to bring, more increased footfall to an area. It's just so important, and being able to be in a position to help safeguard that is a really important bit of work for us. So I think, really, in terms of the joint term strategy, I hope that I've managed to give you a decent overview of how it works, what we're trying to achieve. The one big thing to mention at the end of this for the joint term strategy is that the last 10 strategies were published a decade ago. In that last 10 years, the acceleration from what was predicted was going to happen to what we know has already happened has been huge. No one really, whilst what we thought we saw coming was so much better than what has actually come. So the really important bit for us is that these strategies don't just become another moment in time that in a decade will be dead strategies. Very much, particularly Thames Strategy East, very much like that was now, with the amount of development and the changes in population that has happened there. So our vision is for a legacy where these strategies are constantly evolving, constantly adapting, and guiding regeneration and planning across the whole of the estuary. And I hope that I've been able to show, in context of Shed 78, just what a massive difference it will make over the next 40, 50 years, and then right into the turn of the century. So I don't know how long I've been so far, but I'm going to, have I got time for one more slide?
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So this is I'm going to make this really brief, but this is the Thames Estuary Partnership passion piece, really. So many riverside communities are guilty of turning their back on the river. And by that, I mean, you're always, planning is always inward, inland. We've had conversations recently with the City of London, and they're really starting to recognise that the river is a huge asset, and the whole of the estuary is a huge asset to communities. And it's interesting being in Sheppey because you're an island, and water is literally a divide. And if you look at the terrestrial differences between Kent and Essex, between the Victoria Embankment and the City of London, all the way along, there are massive cultural divides, communities divided by the river. And we really want to, all of our projects and all of our work, somewhere along the line, we try and bake in this idea that we can bring communities together across the river. And I'm sure that that's something in Sheerness that you can share a passion with as well. So I just wanted to talk a bit about that. But I think that's me done. So thank you so much again for hearing me out.
Thank you, Jess. That is amazing. It was great to hear. I mean, really, Thames Estuary Partnership does some incredible work. And I thought, as you were talking, I thought, really, you do amazing work.
Yeah.
The exciting potential for here, due to what you do, it is crazy. It's fantastic. But it's also very scary, potentially, if it doesn't happen. And I think decision makers, policy makers really do need to think very carefully if they don't go ahead with the riverside regeneration, and especially something like Shed 78, which it has other benefits too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I really want to be clear that, when you show those flood maps, that is a view of what will happen if nobody does anything. But the reality is that there is a commitment. The Environment Agency are hugely committed with the Thames Estuary 2100 plan, which is adaptive and is already showing huge amounts of value. You've got the Thames our joint Thames strategies that are working to really fundamentally provide that resilience in a really, really meaningful and holistic way. So it isn't scary. There's no way that we will stop all flooding. At some point, we're going to get our feet a little bit wet,
really?
But it will not be at the cost of community and economic growth. So that's the really big takeaway from it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess Seaward from the Thames Estuary Partnership.